A strange black fog was rapidly sweeping across the town. It was so thick and vast that it seemed to blot out the sky, like a chasm had opened in the heavens. But the scariest part wasn't the fog itself. Inside the fog, a chained monster was lurking. On a bus speeding down the highway, Anna was reviewing notes from that day's training. While jotting something down, she accidentally knocked her notebook off the seat. Just as she reached for it, a man from the back seat beat her to it and picked it up. He introduced himself as Freddy, a comic book artist. Using this as an excuse, he tried to strike up a conversation with Anna, but he was so nervous. His voice trembled as he spoke, making Anna smile awkwardly. Just as Anna was about to give him her contact info, the bus suddenly got into an accident. But when Anna opened her eyes again, she was somehow back in her own home. Turns out, the entire scene had just been a dream, and yet something about it felt wrong. Before she had time to think too much, she noticed the clock on the table. Realizing she was running late, Anna put the strange dream aside and rushed to get ready. But as she raised her arm to wash her face, she was startled to see the hair under her armpit had suddenly grown long and thick. Shrugging it off, she figured she could just take care of it later with some hair removal cream. After changing her clothes, Anna rushed to the hospital, but to her surprise, the place was completely deserted. The halls were empty, no patients, no staff. The hospital that was usually packed now felt like a ghost town. Stunned, Anna went to her office to call someone for help, but her phone had no signal. Just then, she heard voices coming from down the hallway. Following the sound, Anna reached the end of the corridor and realized the voices were coming from the security monitors. But the screens were pitch black. The eerie sight left her terrified. Panicked and unsure what was going on, she quickly fled the hospital. Out on the street, she was horrified to find that it wasn't just the hospital. The entire town was empty. Anna knocked on doors, house after house, searching for anyone else who might be left. But no matter how long she searched, there was no answer. Staring at the abandoned town, her mind raced with questions. Could something have happened overnight, some kind of emergency that caused everyone to evacuate? But if there really had been an emergency, the authorities would have issued a warning, and she had been home all day yesterday. There hadn't been so much as a peep. Though she had no idea what had happened, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that something terrifying had struck the town. Why else would everyone vanish overnight? She rushed home and locked all the doors and windows. Turning on the TV and radio, she hoped to catch some kind of emergency broadcast, but all the signals were dead. As Anna sat, trying to piece together what had happened, she suddenly heard music playing from outside. Looking out onto the quiet street and seeing nothing unusual, curiosity got the better of her. She left the house and followed the sound. Across the neighborhood, she spotted a house with its lights on. The music was coming from inside. Thinking someone else might have been left behind like her, Anna walked up and knocked on the door. To her surprise, it wasn't locked. She stepped inside, but the house was empty. She looked around and assumed the family must have just left the music playing when they left, but just as she turned to go, a sudden noise came from behind her. Anna spun around, and there, standing in the shadows, was the man from her dream, Freddy. Even more bizarre, Freddy had the exact same dream last night. As they talked, Anna learned that Freddy had also experienced something strange. When he woke up that morning, all of his family and the townspeople had mysteriously vanished. He'd searched around the town just like Anna, but found no one. Realizing they'd gone through the same thing, Anna suddenly had a thought. Could it be that a sudden outbreak of disease had struck the town, and the authorities had secretly evacuated everyone? Freddy agreed that the theory made sense, so the two of them went to the police station hoping to find some clues. But after searching every corner of the station, they still came up empty. Even the radio systems had been completely cut off. Though they had no idea where the townspeople had gone, Freddy insisted that now wasn't the time to dwell on it. Their priority should be to leave the town and see what was going on outside. Anna agreed with the plan, so the two of them got in the car and drove toward the town's edge. But as soon as they reached the town entrance, they were met with a terrifying sight. A dense black fog stretched across the end of the highway, completely blocking the road. The fog towered into the sky, and flashes of lightning crackled within it. Afraid to go in blindly, Freddy turned the car around to try another route out. But every other road was the same, completely surrounded by the black fog. After circling the entire town, they were horrified to realize the entire place was now trapped inside the fog. Staring at the strange mist, Anna finally understood. This must be the reason the townspeople had evacuated. But where had the fog come from? And why hadn't they received any evacuation notice? Exhausted and hungry after a day of running around, the two of them stopped by a burger restaurant hoping to get something to eat. But as Anna pushed open the door, the once silent restaurant suddenly burst into life. The place was full of chatting, laughing customers. Freddy thought maybe the missing townspeople were all here. But as he walked closer, he noticed something disturbing. The customers couldn't see them at all. He looked out the window and saw the streets just as lively. Puzzled, he stepped outside to take a closer look, but the result was the same. No one could see them. When Freddy looked back into the restaurant, he saw Anna sitting in a daze at one of the tables. She was staring at something. It was her aunt who had died more than 10 years ago, and her younger self from childhood. But just as Anna became lost in the memory, the bustling restaurant suddenly vanished. It was empty again. Seeing the eerie scene vanish in front of him, Freddy suddenly remembered a science show he had seen on TV. He began to suspect they'd been dragged into a parallel universe by the fog one, where time itself had broken, and they were seeing glimpses from decades ago. Anna agreed that it made sense, but she still didn't understand. Why were they the only ones who got pulled in? Where was everyone else? Freddy believed that the key to escaping the town lay within the fog, so they returned to the town's entrance to investigate. To their horror, they discovered that the fog was moving, slowly creeping forward. Using a measuring tape, Freddy calculated the rate of movement.
Moving about
In about 3 days, the entire town would be completely swallowed by the black fog. No one knew what would happen then, but judging by the fog's terrifying color, it couldn't be anything good. Determined to find a way out, the two of them decided to enter the fog and see what was inside. But the moment they stepped in, violent winds whipped around them. Through the chaos, Freddy spotted a white light in the distance. Grabbing Anna's hand, he led her toward it. They had no idea how long they'd been walking, but Freddy thought maybe they had finally escaped the fog, until they looked up and saw a massive stone wall towering into the clouds. There was a stone door embedded in it, but they had grown up in this town their whole lives, and they had never seen anything like this before. Freddy looked down and saw that the area in front of the door was scattered with keys. He picked one up and tried it in the door, but it didn't fit. Just as he was puzzling over it, Anna suddenly called out to him. Freddy turned and saw something horrifying. Beside them was a dry well, wrapped in several chains. Curious, Freddy leaned over to look inside. The well was so deep, he couldn't see the bottom. And then, from the darkness, came a monstrous, guttural roar. Terrified, the two of them turned and fled from the fog as fast as they could. Freddy suspected there might be a monster hiding inside the well, so he went to a weapon shop and picked out a few weapons for self-defense. But while Freddy was choosing his weapons, the scene around him suddenly shifted again. This time he was taken back to his childhood. Back then, he had made a mistake at school and was punished by his mother. His father, wanting to cheer him up, secretly planned to take him to the town's evening fair. At that moment, Freddy noticed the comic book in front of him, and to his shock, the door in the drawing was exactly the same as the one they saw in the black fog. But how could a door from a comic appear inside the black fog? As they wondered whether this was some kind of clue, the black fog had already reached the edge of the town. And just like that, the distorted scenes of time disappeared. Suddenly, the terrifying roar of the monster echoed from within the well again. Hearing this, Freddy guessed that the monsters had probably escaped from the well. He brought Anna to the police station where there was an armory stocked with bullets and firearms. Freddy grabbed a shotgun and began checking the building, but after waiting for a long time, there was still no sign of the monster. Just as he started feeling suspicious, the sound of chains echoed through the hallway. They turned around and saw the monster standing at the end of the corridor. The two of them quickly ducked under a desk, not daring to make a sound. Freddy noticed that the monster had a key hanging from its chest. That instantly reminded him of the stone door they saw earlier. Could that be the key to open it? As the monster stepped into the room, Freddy raised his shotgun and fired. The monster let out a painful shriek as the bullet hit its body. Seeing that the gun worked, Freddy tried to shoot again, but the monster suddenly leapt through the window and escaped. Freddy chased after it, but by the time he got outside, the monster had vanished. He told Anna about the key. It was clear now. To escape the town, they had to kill the monster and retrieve the key from its chest. But how could they get the key without destroying it? Freddy came up with a plan to build a trap. He dismantled several grenades and combined the gunpowder to create a makeshift bomb. Meanwhile, Anna went to the supermarket and brought back some fresh meat. They placed the meat and the bomb by the roadside, then made some noise to lure the monster in. When the bomb exploded and sent the monster flying through the air, Anna thought they'd succeeded, but when they ran to the street to check, they found the monster's body blown to pieces, and the key was nowhere to be found. Freddy guessed the explosion had been too powerful. As they lowered their heads to search for the key, another monstrous roar rang out from behind them. Turning around, they were horrified to see the monster again, completely unharmed. Only now, it had broken free from its chains and moved with terrifying speed. Freddy leapt into action to protect Anna, engaging the monster in a fierce battle, but he was no match. In seconds, he was pinned to the ground and brutally beaten. With Freddy down, the monster lunged at Anna. In a panic, Anna grabbed a knife from the ground, and just as the monster fell, she swiftly snatched the key from its chest. By now, the black fog had completely engulfed the town. Carrying the injured Freddy, Anna raced to the stone door. She inserted the key into the lock, and the moment the stone door opened, Anna suddenly woke up in a hospital. Looking around, she finally remembered everything. It turned out, their meeting on the bus that night hadn't been a dream at all. It had truly happened. Anna had been about to give Freddy her contact info when the bus crashed. Both of them were severely injured and brought to the hospital. Now fully conscious, Anna made her way to Freddy's room. At that very moment, Freddy also woke from his coma. The two of them remembered every single detail from the dream-like experience. And in the end, having survived it all, they got married. That was the full story of the American horror film After.